Adverbs, Lesson 3. Objectives. By the end of the lesson, students will be able to identify adverbs of frequency, understand the usage of adverb of frequency, use adverbs of frequency in their own sentence. The students have come to the cinema hall with their teacher to watch the movie Deepu number 2.
How often do you watch the movie at the cinema hall?
I have never watched movie.
Sometimes I watch the movie at the cinema hall.
Last month, I watched Matir Moina with my parents.
How often do you eat at the school canteen?
I eat at the school canteen frequently. What about you?
I always bring tiffin from home. I seldom buy tiffin from school canteen. Sometimes I watched movie at cinema hall. I have never seen movie at cinema hall. I always bring tiffin from home. Never, sometimes, always, frequently, rarely, hardly, seldom. These words are called adverb of frequency. Adverb of frequency answer the question how often or how frequently an action happens, happened, or will happen. Maliha always gets up early in the morning. Sometimes she helps her mother in household chores. She rarely misses school. She never tells a lie and she hardly uses any bad language. Maliha's friend visits her home frequently. Occasionally, she cooks at home. She seldom watches TV. In her leisure, she always reads books. Identify the adverbs of frequency in this text. Always, usually, frequently, often, sometimes, occasionally, rarely, seldom, hardly, never. We use the adverbs of frequency to say how often we do things. We use the adverbs of frequency to say how often we do things. Last week, Maliha had an extracurricular activities week at her school. See her last week's routine and fill in the gaps by dragging suitable adverbs from the options. Maliha always gets up early in the morning. She rarely misses school. She never tells a lie and she hardly uses any bad language. She seldom watches TV. Where do we place adverbs? Generally, an adverb is placed before the main verbs. Maliha's friend visits her home frequently. Usually, she gets up early in the morning. Occasionally, she cooks at home. Sometimes, she helps her mother in household chores. Where do we place adverbs? Occasionally, sometimes, often, frequently, and usually can also go at the beginning or end of a sentence. If there is an auxiliary helping verb in the sentence, the adverb of frequency always goes after the auxiliary verb and before the main verb. I have never eaten pizza. Mamun is always punctual. He works hard. The man is lazy. He hardly works. Find adverbs in these sentences. Hard and hardly are adverb. Negative adverbs of frequency, example, rarely, seldom, never, hardly, are not used in negative sentences or questions. I rarely eat chicken. I like fish. I do not rarely eat meat. Correct? Incorrect? Rewrite the sentence with the adverbs in the bracket. I go to school by bus, usually. I finish homework in time, always. She visits her friends often. He goes to bed at 11 o'clock, sometimes. The train is late, never. Usually, I go to school by bus. I always finish my work in time. She visits her friends often. Sometimes he goes to bed at 11 o'clock. The train is never late. Pick the suitable speech bubble for these people. I use computer always. Sometimes I teach my students with the help of computers. Frequently, I use computer for my business information. I seldom use computer. I am always busy with my sewing. Answer the following questions. How often do you use computer? How often do you help others? Read the sentences and fill in the gaps with suitable adverbs. Ranu is always in a happy mood. She is never sad. Banu is an excellent student. She always learns her lesson. He is ill health. He never hardly eats vegetables. I do not eat junk food. I usually eat homemade food. What have we learnt in this lesson? In this lesson, we have learnt identify adverbs of frequency.